Today's guest is a Memphis-born, dirt poor raised, Tennessee made through and through. He grew up on Garth Brooks, Outkast, Nirvana, and somehow blended it all into the sound that he calls Shi Country.
Shi Country, baby.
Got that right?
That's it. Nailed it.
He's raw, unfiltered, entrepreneurial to the bone, a man who built not just a music career, but 11 roofing companies?
It was 23 locations, 9 states.
23 locations, 9 states,
Yeah.
roofing. Sunglass brand?
Tons of stuff. You can go for days, man.
And a lifestyle that screams work hard and rock harder.
That's it.
He's got the cars,
Got 28 of them.
the grit,
Definitely got that.
and the scars.
Lots.
And most importantly, the story.
The story is there.
Brother, welcome to Conversations of Key.
My God.
You ready to key it up?
Yeah, let's tip it off. Let's go.
All right. So, Shi Eubank, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
You often talk about being dirt poor, coming up dirt poor when you were growing up. What did that reality look like for you?
Honestly, when you're a kid, you don't really realize. The younger you are, you don't really realize what you don't have because you're not really at the point where you can compare and contrast things to like what other people have. So it wasn't until I was probably, 11, 12, 13 when I started to understand that we really didn't have anything. It wasn't until much later on in life that I understood, my dad had he lived in a little ADU behind this other person's house. And now looking back,
And what's the ADU for people?
it's like another dwelling behind the house, like a little, studio apartment basically behind the house. And I remember the neighbors would come over with like brown Piggly Wiggly bags with, canned goods and stuff in them. And, when you're a kid, you're like, oh, cool. And you're looking at it, then you realize that it's because your dad doesn't have the means to feed you. And the neighbors are all being good. That's when neighbors were neighbors, and it, really meant something. Everybody stuck together. And you started to realize, later on in life, he couldn't afford to feed us. He's doing whatever he could to pull it together, and life isn't always just, Cheerios. It's mayonnaise sandwiches. It is what it is. So yeah, it was crazy. I grew up I grew up in North Memphis. So my parents were divorced. Part of the life I was in, part of it we were in Raleigh, and part of it we were in what they call Nutbush. And it was nuts. Grew up in the same neighborhood as Rampage, Quentin Jackson. It's one of my best friends on earth.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. My mom got his first pair of wrestling shoes.
Really?
Yeah. Like our wrestling team, a lot of kids didn't have shoes. So when you're at the tournaments, whoever had the closest size to you, take your shoes off and give it to them if you had them and they didn't. We stuck together. It's crazy.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. So, growing up in Memphis, Tennessee, how is that still shaped in your music to this day? Like, where do we see that present in your music?
You see it all the way through. Like, I grew up, if you know Memphis, you know that North Memphis borders Millington, Atoka, Mumford, so all the sticks. So part of the time I was in the hood, part of the time I was in the sticks. So you see a reflection in the country side of things, in the rhythmic stuff and the cadences and the songs. You hear that. And then, when you're younger, country wasn't cool. You kind of hid your country. So, there's also, Memphis rock and roll. So it's kind of just like a hodgepodge of that. And you'll hear it all throughout the songs, just in the tones of the songs or the rhythm, the cadences, or, the delivery, or, even in the melodies,
Yeah. You know what I want to know, man? Growing up so poor, how does that define your identity as a man today? Thinking back
you
on
want
it.
to go there?
Yeah.
So when you grow up with nothing, you're always got this chip on your shoulder. A lot of people do. They grow up with this chip on their shoulder, and they're always like, you know, I was trying to make a change in my life, like far later on in life, right? So I was playing music, and we go out and we would tour the road, like playing rock. And we'd come back home and we would go and do construction, things of that nature to like, you know, just keep food coming in, you know, and afford to be able to go back out on the road because that was just life, you know. And me and the boys, it'd be like me and a bunch of our buddies, we'd just be piled up on couches and wherever we could stay and whoever could chip in on rent, you know. And I remember when I finally decided I can't live like this anymore, like, you know, coming home to nothing it's killing me. I'm, you know, like I need to figure something out. And I went to make a change in my life. So I started going around to like all these people that are doing well for themselves. Right. And I'm asking, I was like, you know, I need a loan. I can take give me $100,000. I could turn it to $1 million, blah, blah, blah. And everybody kept either blowing me off or straight up saying no. So it was like over and over and over again, this repetition of being rejected, right? And the first thing, growing up poor, right, you start to look at it and go, oh, it's because of where I grew up. It's because of, you know, the neighborhood I come from. You don't believe in me. You think that people from here are always going to be stuck here, da, 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 da. And it was the blame game. It wasn't until I remember something that my aunt had told me. I'd been blown off probably at this point 15, 16 times, right? By people that I thought were, you know, I called friend. And I started to get this like, you know, this nasty attitude about it, right? Then I remember my aunt had said something. She told me before she passed away. She had said, son, if one person says something, it may or may not be true. But if everybody's saying the same thing, there's probably some validity to it, and you should look into it, right? So the repetition thing was being rejected, right? But the reality of it wasn't because of where I came from. It's because I'd never proven that I could do that. So the minute that I stopped blaming everybody else and I started taking accountability for myself and my actions, that's when life started changing for me. That's also when I started to discover that I have control over my life, right? So at that point, you know, everything I did was to make music. Everything that I did in life was to make music, but I never went out there and showed people that I could take $10,000 and turn it into 100, you know?
Right.
When that stuff happened, you were selling drugs,
Right.
right? You were out on the streets doing street shit. You know, I had never proven that, never showed that. So I this is how much I didn't know about business. I Googled, how do you get a loan?
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And it says, okay, well, you need 2 years tax returns. Well, cool. And each year you should make more than you made the last. Okay. I got to figure this out. And the more money you make, the more you qualify for. I know this is stupid rudiments, right?
Yeah.
But this is how much I didn't know. And I'm not ashamed of saying that. Right. I literally knew nothing.
Right.
You know? So I went in, said, okay, I need to do this. The first thing I need to do is budget myself. I got to stop blaming everybody else for my shortcomings. This is my fault. The reason I'm here today is not because of where I grew up. It's not because of how I grew up. My parents did the best they could for me. They were pushing every day to keep the lights on and keep food in my fucking belly. Sorry if I cussing on you.
No, you're good.
Bro, I had to understand they did the best they could, right? And it was my turn to change my life. It's nobody else's fault, right? Where I go in music, where I go in life, it's all up to what I do and the choices that I make.
Yep.
So right there, that day, I made a choice. I laid out a budget, $5 a day. And I promise you, I ate at the same McDonald's on the same corner every day. And I'm not lying to you, bro. You can fact check this off of $5 a day, every day for 2 years straight. I never broke it. Stopped drinking. Not because I didn't like alcohol or want to drink or that I had an alcohol problem. I stopped drinking because I was saving every single dollar.
Yep.
Every single dollar. And I went in and saved dollar after dollar after dollar, right? And I accumulated everything I did. I'd wake up, I'd work construction. I stopped going out on the road and touring. Said, I got to change my life. Stopped touring. Said, my songs suck. That's why we're not where we need to be.
Wow.
Right? Reality check. When I check myself hard, bro.
Yeah.
So I go, I need to learn how to write. So I need to take the time to stay grounded. And then I need to get my money right. Right? Because nobody's going to do this for me.
You got to do it for yourself.
100%. So I went in. I get up 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. I'd be out on the job site, work construction, laying tile on my hands and knees for $12 an hour.
Yep.
All day long. I get out 3 or 4 in the afternoon. I go get a quick nap, right? I go to rehearsals. I come out of rehearsals and I would go straight into washing FedEx trucks at night to 1 o'clock in the morning, every morning. And I did it every single day.
The grind.
And every day that I laid tile, I didn't half-ass lay that tile. I was the best.
Mm-hmm.
Those trucks, you had never seen a FedEx truck that clean, bro.
Yeah.
I promise you. There wasn't a spot on these trucks because if I'm going to do it, I'm going all the way. I'm not going to disrespect the people that are paying me.
Right.
Right? So I went in there. I started to change my entire attitude, my entire life. Stop blaming everybody else. Put the blame on my shoulders where they belong and put the weight on my shoulders and start carrying that shit.
Yeah.
And I did that shit for 2 years straight. And I went on my tax returns and said I made X amount of dollars. I lied. I gave them more money than I actually made.
Wow.
I saved every penny and said that I made more than I actually made. I'll probably get in trouble for this.
Right.
Right?
We don't want that.
Yeah, but that's where it, by any means necessary. And then I built a business plan. Everything that I'd done. If I was doing work for somebody else, I was taking pictures of it, building a portfolio. Went into the bank 2 years later, after 2 years of eating at the same McDonald's, $5 a day, bro.
Off the 99, off the value
Off
menu.
the value menu when it was a value menu,
Right,
bro.
right.
Grinding.
Right.
Right. And rehearsing and writing at night, honing in on my craft, putting time and effort, energy into myself instead of everything else around me and really fixing the problems. Right. 2 years later, right, I walk into the bank, right? I'm set up an appointment. I go in there. I'm dressed to the nines. I'm ready. Go in there with my business plan, sit down in front of them. I present it to them. You know, nervous as shit, but I'm not showing it.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Give them the business plan. They say, we'd be happy to loan you this money.
Dope.
Boom. Changed life right there.
Wow.
Started right there. Most people can't commit themselves to 2 weeks, bro.
Right.
New year, new me. You're in the gym for 2 weeks, bro, and you're out.
Yeah.
This is 2 years.
You know,
straight.
It's crazy. I was talking to one of my friends. She came up with a plan to, you know, excel in her career, right? She came up with a 6-month plan. And I watched her double her income in 6 months. She put her head down. She came up with the plan. She stuck to the plan. You didn't see her out. You didn't see her doing this, that. You know, you got to have a plan. You got to have some kind of roadmap, you know? And I think for me, I'm kind of a weird case because growing up, you know, we weren't rich. But, you know, I went to private school up until like the 3rd grade.
I got kicked out.
And then my pops had a really bad accident. He was paying for private school for me, my brother, my cousin, you know what I mean? Making really good money back in the 80s, right? Or 90s, had this accident. And that's when my whole life changed.
Shifted.
You know, we went from living in a nice house, driving nice cars, to not having a house, to sleeping on the floor, you know, at a family member's, you know, alternating. Okay, Dad, you get the bed tonight. I get the bed. You take the floor. I take the floor.
I remember those nights.
And just really, like, literally having nothing except each other, you know? And going through that process made me today the person where I'm like, dude, I'm allergic to broke. Like, I'm afraid. I have PTSD of being broke because I remember what it felt like. I hated that feeling. Never want to go back to that. Never want my kids to feel what that is. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So people be like, oh man, you work hard, you work all these jobs, you know, you do voiceover, you DJ, you're an editor, you produce. Like, when does it stop? You need to, you know, get some sleep. And I'm like, nah, man, you know, that I'm thinking about what that felt like growing up. And I don't ever want to go back there again. You know, we have some similarities in the fact that when I was coming up at 13, I borrowed $300 from my mom, right? I said, Mom, if you give me this 300, I'm going to flip it. I'm going to make you some money. I'm going to bring you back your 300 plus a little something on it. And my way out that I saw back then was, you know, promoting under 21 parties, you know? So I rented a hall out, $300, got everybody to come down, got my boys who was DJs, I DJ'd, made $1,500. You know what I mean? Gave my mom back her money and did the rinse and repeat,
Yep.
you know? And so by the time I was like 17, I was making like $8,000 a week, you know, at 17. But I didn't have any guidance. Nobody, you know, we would leave after doing one of these parties and 50 of us, 30 of us, whatever, would pull up to like a McDonald's or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was no real guidance. I didn't know what to do with it. You know what I mean?
100%.
So I feel you in that sense, right? When I started skipping school, I was like, man, fuck this shit. Like, in high school, all I thought about was music and making beats and DJing. And I remember being in school one day and the teacher's like, yeah, so you're going around the classroom, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? And they get to me and I'm like, I want to DJ. I want to, you know, work in TV. I want to do this and that. And the teacher was like, yo, that's not a career path, man. You need to like
bet.
you need to be like a doctor or a lawyer, something with substance. All of the stuff you're talking about, there's no substance there. That's all in the air. And that was the day I was done with school. And I used to skip school and just go to the library and read about money, right? Pull out any book on money, any book on stocks, any book on investing. And I felt like that's the only education I needed at that point, you know? Cause
It's the best education you could have possibly given yourself.
Yep.
But, like, my mom sent me something. We don't really talk. I don't have my phone on me. I'd show it to you. But It was basically, you know, said that it's this little cartoon figure, and it was like kids that are sitting in school and like they're doing well at school, and then there's this kid, you know, out there running around in the window behind it. It's like it basically was like kids that, you know, follow the curriculum and don't have a hard time at school end up being the sheep of the world. And I don't say that if you went to school and you studied and you became something more awesome, more power to you. There are kids that were made fun of for not being able to grasp that type of situation, right? Which have become the entrepreneurs of the world, which have really like blossomed and, you know, carved new paths for people, you know? So I was one of those kids. I was terrible at school, bro. Like, I don't know how I graduated. I think they wanted to get rid of me, bro.
So isn't it strange? You look back on your life and you're like, I was screwing up in school. I wasn't the best student. I wasn't the best this. And then now, you know, I'm making music. I have cars. I have businesses, people that I employ, likely, you know. How does that make you feel looking back on yourself?
I don't sit there and go, well, man, I did it right. I mean, let's be honest. We don't know what we're doing at all, bro.
Right.
You like that edit?
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know what we're doing at all, bro. Like,
Right.
we're going through life blind, and we're just trying to figure it out one day at a time. You know, my dad, you know, he and I had like a pretty tough spell, like growing up. Like, I mean, like real tough. And there were some real, like, not okay things that happened, you know, that we don't have to go into all that. But my dad asked me like a not weird question, but he asked me a pretty tough question for most people to respond honestly with, right? It was probably about a month or two ago. And he's like, was I a good dad? And I was like, I paused and I'm like, I'm not going to sit here and lie to him, right? But I need to like really think about this. So I need to like put some energy into this. So I sat there and, you know, you could almost hear like the nervous silence, you know? and uncomfortableness. And I sat there and I was like, thought about it and I go, actually, you were. I was like, because I understand that every single day you were turning another day older and learning how to be a father to a 10-year-old kid. The next year you're turning another year older, you're learning how to be a father to an 11-year-old kid.
Yeah.
I was your first kid, Dad. I understand that there were things that you may look back on and regret, but there was so much you taught me along the way that the good heavily outweighed the bad. And for that, and for me understanding that you didn't understand, I forgive you. So whatever that, think that was a loaded question. Just know that I forgive you for the things that you feel like you failed at. But in general, you are a great dad. You love me. You took care of me. You made sure above and beyond everything else that I saw tomorrow. And that to me made you a great father.
That's dope. You know, it's crazy how music bridges gaps. You know what I mean?
He showed me all that.
Yeah.
He introduced me to all, like, my whole music world.
Right.
You know, he'd sing to us at night when we were babies.
And
my brother and I.
And I'm listening to you talk and sitting here and having this conversation and keying it up with you, as we say. You know, I think that it's telling as to why your music resonates with me, right? When you really think about it, you created the term Shi Country. When did you realize you were building your own genre of music?
When you start getting enough like confidence in yourself to like start to show it to your friends, because we're artists, bro. I mean, everything that we do is like we're putting ourselves out there. We're being vulnerable, right? So it's like you got to build that confidence. You know, you may be confident in a ton of other things, shooting basketball. You may be confident, doing math. You may be confident, whatever it might be, building a house. But like, artists, we're constantly critiquing ourselves, like beating ourselves up, generally speaking. So when I got the confidence to start showing the music to other people, and people were like, especially when I got out of the band, so it was like full exposure. It's like being on a wrestling team versus a football team. Football team, quarterback and throwing the ball worth of shit, lose a game, he could blame it on whoever.
Right.
Offensive lineman, there's not protection, blah, blah, blah. Wrestling, you get out there on the mat, it's you versus the world, right? So when I came out of the band, started going into country and doing my own thing, right? That's when it was like, oh shit, it can't be, this is just me, right? So when I finally started showing it to my friends and they were like, this is different.
Yeah.
Like, this is sick. I was like, all right, let's go. That's when I started to understand it.
So your sound is constantly evolving, right? What's the evolution of your sound look like now?
I just like music, right? So, and Rick Rubin probably put it best when Rick Rubin said, the audience comes last. And no offense to people that like my music or people that in the future that may be interested in listening to it, but I have to do this for myself. As long as I'm being true to myself, right? What comes out, I'm giving the audience, like Rick nailed it. I'm giving the audience the best of me, right? And that's all you can do, right? So, with that being said, the new music, like I'm toying with a ton of different stuff. There's songs that sound more authentically country, right?
Yep.
In that realm.
Yep.
And stuff that like veers off like far right, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
But they all make sense because it's all me.
Yeah, I mean, your sound, your country storytelling meets hip hop, meets, that cadence meets like a rock and roll kind of spirit, right?
Yeah.
That's where we're at. How did that blend show up? How did you get to that? Was that something that you sat down and you said, you know what, I'm going to take a little bit of this or a little bit of that, or did it just come naturally?
It's more of a natural thing, but when you're songwriting, the coolest thing I think about music is the fact that you're taking something that's in your head and you're bringing it out to where somebody can hear it, right?
Yep.
It's different than like seeing it, you know, like something's in your head and building it. That's one super talent to me. But when you take something that you're hearing, right? Not to be weird, but like the voice inside of your head, you're hearing it,
Right.
and you bring that to life. That's different, bro.
It's funny you say voice in your head, because I was talking to my boy on the ride over here. He's down in Florida, and he's like, because I was telling him to check you out over the weekend, and so he said, "Man, I was listening to Barback, right?"
Yeah.
He was like, "Yo, that shit." He was in my head. What I've been thinking about this chick I'm messing with, right? He's like, "Yo, I just want to crash out. I've been wanting to crash out." Like, he's like, "Yo, this is actually resonating. Yo, dude is dope."
Sick. Let's go. Right there. That's what makes it worth it. That's the fuel, bro.
Yeah.
That's the fuel. So like there's, when you're writing songs and sculpting songs, like we'll start to lay them out. Right. And I want to say this, I don't write this stuff by myself.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I've spent so many years just around great writers and watching them develop from no name to like Grammy award-winning writers.
Yeah.
Right? Just my friends, like we're hanging out in the bar drinking, like we're kicking it, you know?
Yeah.
And never asking for anything. So I went in when I wrote Barback and all this stuff, I went in and I went to my boys and I was like, I need y'all. And they're like, what's up?
Yep.
And they're like, I was like, I want to put on a writing camp. So we put on a writing camp. There's probably, I don't know, 15 of us or something.
Mm-hmm.
And they came over and we spent over a week, just 24 hours a day, every day in 2 rooms. And man, there was more than that. It was like in the 20s, bro. And like everybody's in there and the energy's up and we're like spitting lines off to each other and being like, da, 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 da.
Yeah.
The coolest part was when you would go from one room to the next, right? Because I'd go down here and get a song started, and then I'd come up here and get it, and shift gears, go up here and get a song started with like a group of my boys up here, in the 2 studios at the house, and we were hopping back and forth. But the coolest thing is when I'm walking upstairs and I'm hearing 2 of my boys have a debate, and they're like, "Shi wouldn't say it like that."
Mm-hmm.
Like he would say it like this. Mm-hmm. That's not who he is. Like hearing other people have a perspective on your life or way that you would present something is crazy. It's one of the craziest feelings in the world to feel like somebody cares about you that much. It's not slapping a song together. Like we worked on these songs, like every vowel shape, every vowel sound, every syllable, right? Meticulously placed, right?
Right.
To make it feel the way that it feels. And if it didn't make us feel something, we'd toss that, come back in and go, no, that ain't it.
Right.
Nothing was ever good enough until it was good enough.
Right.
You know?
That's dope. So you had your own writer's room going
Bro,
on.
I did that. What I'm about to show y'all next, Use Me is the first song off of this next batch of songs.
Okay.
Right. So I still have, I think, 7 more to release from like the Barback era, which we did those in mid 24.
Yep.
And then Use Me is the first one. The camp went so crazy in 24. I put on another one this year. I had 53 of the baddest writers and producers on the face of the planet at my house. I set up 4 bunk beds in one big room,
Yep.
right? 3 studios. And we went for 2 weeks straight, or actually 13 days. We had to call it on the last day.
Wow.
Right? 13 days straight, 24 hours a day. Wow. I mean, I'm talking about 24 hours a day, because I got some of my buddies that write, they're morning dudes, right? Family men. They want to write in the day, and then you got the mid-afternoon to early evening guys, right? And then you got the late night, let's go. And maybe we go for 2 or 3 days straight, guys.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And we documented everything. We wrote 73 songs in 13 days.
Wow.
And I sat in with my management. I said, guys, I'm not going to lie to you. Like, this is a lot. And I had Michael Whitworth in there. He's a, hit maker. They call him Michael Hitworth. Mm-hmm. I brought him back in, and I brought D-Ray, which wrote Jelly Roll Save Me.
Yep.
Right? 2 of my best buddies. And I said, I need y'all's help. And we were able to narrow it down to 51 out of 73.
Wow.
And
51 hits.
51, bro.
Yeah.
And D-Ray looks over and he goes, Bubba, I think you legitimately got 15 or 16 number ones.
Wow.
And he goes, on top of that, he goes, Bubba, I think you got at least another 16, 17, 18 that I feel are top tens.
Yep.
He goes, and the rest of them, I wouldn't be ashamed 1 minute to put one of those on my record. They're amazing songs.
Yeah.
But we narrowed it down to 51, and I was trying to show my management. It took us 2 days to go, almost 3 days to go through all these songs.
Right.
And they're like, yeah, okay, 51. You're going to have some junk in there, right?
Yeah.
Bro, bow, bow, bow.
Bangers.
Bow.
You got bangers.
Bro, listen to Use Me. It's crazy, bro.
Crazy. So for people who've never heard you, finish this sentence. Shi Country is?
Authentically me. There is no other sound.
Dope.
It's me. There's nothing that it doesn't pantomime anything else. It's not regurgitated. It's 100% authentic.
So speaking of being authentically you, your mom gave you Garth Brooks.
Yep.
Right? Your dad gave you?
He gave me a lot. He gave me the Beatles was the first one he gave me, actually.
Okay.
It was the first one he gave me.
Your dad gave you the Beatles. And the Streets.
Three Dog Night, the Beatles. The Streets gave me Outkast, 3 6 Mafia, which now I'm friends with, like, the boys in 3 6. It's cool.
So how did you make all of that make sense?
I just let it do what it did. Like, wherever it felt like it fit. You know, if a song, all right, we break it down into songwriting 101. If you're listening to something and it's feeling like you're listening to, it's just stagnant. It's not building, it's not climbing, it's not dropping, it's not, right? There's ways to look at it. Okay, is that in the cadence? Is that in the instrumentation? Is it a build in you're going up and you're extending? You know, you can do that several ways. You can do it in the instruments, right? Mm-hmm. You can do it in, raising your note selection up, mm-hmm. right? You can do it in the cadence. Then you can also do it in the genre or the feel, mm-hmm. right? So if I'm doing something and it feels like it's rolling in one direction, it just feels kind of stagnant, right? I can put cadence on it because my voice is always going to carry whatever it's going to carry. It's going to bust up and break up because my voice is like that. You can hear it probably in this microphone, mm-hmm. right? It's going to bust up. It's going to break up. Some ways I enunciate things are hood, and some ways I enunciate things are country as shit, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. It's just, the way that this even came about was we were in there songwriting, and I was actually writing to try to write something that wasn't, looking at it going, you're an idiot, right? I was trying to chase something again, mm-hmm. right? Which don't ever chase, right? Be true to yourself. I was starting to chase something, and my buddy producing, Bayless, I was like, hey, recut that. I was like, my Tennessee's coming out. And mm-hmm. he's like, oh no, we're keeping that. Mm-hmm. And I was like, no, like seriously, like fucking recut it, bro. Like, he's like, no. I was like, dude, I sound like a redneck. He goes, well, it's because you are a redneck. He was like, so he goes, no, we're keeping it. And because of that, like, that was the first song, a song called My Mind, mm-hmm. where my country really came out. And then we just started embracing it and just going all the way through.
So who would you say molded your tone? Who would you say shaped your writing? And who would you say gave you your grit? What gave you your grit?
What gave me my grit?
Yeah.
Oh, that's Memphis all the way.
Really? Big shout outs to Memphis, Tennessee.
All the way. That's all. It's having to grind. It's being rejected, feeling, look at Memphis. Memphis gets shit on all the time, but then look at the stars that come out of Memphis. Mm-hmm. They're just different.
Who do you got coming out of Memphis? You got
Justin Timberlake.
Bro,
we used to kick over his motorcycle, bro. Like back in the day. Well, I didn't kick it over, but he was getting his bike kicked over, his motorcycle kicked over at the baseball fields, right?
Yeah.
And made fun of. But his parents made him go to vocal training. They made him do Mickey Mouse Club. They made him do do piano training. They made him do acting,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And he was like, I hate them. Look who's laughing now. Bro,
Right.
you got Elvis.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yep.
I mean, the list can go on for days and days. You got Shinedown guitar player,
Yep.
which is a huge part of that band. Zach Myers.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, bro, it's got a lot of culture. That's just there.
You got 3 6
Come on,
Mafia.
dude.
Yeah.
It's just stacked. You got Young Dolph.
Yep.
Yo Gotti.
Yo Gotti, Dolph.
Dude.
Yep.
Yo Gotti's producer, main producer, was a really good friend of mine. He passed away. God rest his soul. I called him the Wizard. He is literally one of he was like long stringy hair, looked like he was in a metal band.
Yep.
Right. And he was one of the baddest producers on the planet. And then Ari started all Dolph stuff, was doing all Dolph before he passed away. Those two dudes, I used to hang out with them every single day when I was at Young Avenue Sound working on crafting my songs. Like I told you, where it fit in the story.
Yep.
I'd go and work construction all day. I would get out and start going to work on songwriting.
Yep.
These are the dudes that ended up being the dudes. These were before they were with them.
Isn't Glow from Memphis too? Glow Rella's from Memphis. So let me ask you, man, if you had, your mom, what part of your sound do you think your mom would recognize? And what part of your sound do you think your pops would recognize?
Okay, so my mom's going to be deep into the country. My dad's going to be deep into the rock side. And then growing up where I grew up, in the neighborhoods I grew up in, that's where the hip hop comes in.
That's what I was trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was trying to figure out. So, you moved to Nashville in 2017?
Yep.
What pushed you to take that leap back to Nashville?
So I felt like I was building a lot, and you're starting to figure out, when I started building a lot financially, I was like, okay, cool. I've got a kind of a grasp on everything. I'm writing, I'm putting myself, and I got into this relationship. Bro, come on. You already know where this is going.
Whiskey Supernova.
Bro, facts. Facts are sentimentals. I don't do sentimentals. Right? So I get in this relationship with this girl. We get engaged, and we're having a lot of problems. It's super toxic, bro. It is the most toxic. Bro, she pepper sprayed me one time, bro.
That's wild, bro.
Dude, if I told you that story, you would die. Anyways,
that's wild. I've been in some wild stuff. I
Bro.
dated somebody once who she wanted to do a sniff test when I got home.
No way. You're lying. You're lying, bro.
She'll be like, all right, pull him down. Let me see where you've been.
Bro, this chick, dude, this chick was, she was cheating on me, bro. And I knew she was talking to this dude on Snapchat, right?
Right.
And so, bro, I brought this other chick in town. I was like flaunting her around town while I knew she was at work behind a bar and she couldn't do anything about it.
Right.
And she's going nuts, bro. Like just fingers. Well, apparently she was drinking at the bar too. So she gets ripped, bro.
Right.
She gets off, bro. She's coming to look for me.
Yep.
I end up taking the chick to this hotel. I go back to my house, right?
Yeah.
She comes to the house. She's going like wild, right?
Yeah.
And she was like, I ain't been talking to nobody, blah, 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 blah. And she goes, and I was like, you've been talking to this dude on Snapchat. I know it. Like,
I saw
quit
it.
lying.
Yeah.
She goes, look. And she opened, bro, I can't make this up. She opens her phone and shoves it in my face like this. Who do you think the first snap was, bro?
The dude.
The dude. Bro, I took her phone and I go,
Boom.
boom. I took it out of her hand. Boom. Slammed it on this mailbox, bro. I was like, well, you won't be talking to him tonight.
Good luck with that.
Dude, I can't even make this up. Next thing I know, no more than 2 seconds, bro, goes by. She literally pulls out pepper spray. I don't even know where this came from. I'm standing there. Smash, look, spray. Bro, hosed me down, bro.
That's crazy,
But,
bro.
yeah, so anyways, so for whatever reason, I about lost everything financially, right? Made a decision. She was like, we got to move to one place or the next. We moved to, it was either Fort Lauderdale or there. So we moved. I was like, Nashville's tight. So we moved to Nashville, right?
Yep.
Caught her doing it all again. it was really, really bad, like super bad. I was like, look, this is done. I was like, this can't be any longer.
Yeah.
Right. I was like, I need the ring back.
Yeah.
I was like, she was like, yeah, no. I said, look, the ring's coming with me, whether your finger is attached to it or not. That's your problem.
I'm taking my ring back.
Right, yeah.
Right.
So anyway, she gives the ring back, dude. It's over and done with. And then everybody asked me, like a bunch of my boys asked me, because I like messing with them, but they go, well, are you moving back to Memphis? And I was like, nah, bro. Like, I knew one person in Nashville when I moved there.
Mm-hmm.
One. And I was like, nah, dude, like, I'm looking for a whole new group of friends to disappoint me. So I stayed and just went at it.
Man, so what is living in Nashville, because that's where you moved to, Nashville, right?
Yeah.
What did that teach you about the industry?
A lot. That's where a lot of people were flooding to write,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't want to be that guy that was like, hey, I just sat back and observed and talked and, kept developing on the side. When people would approach me about writing, I'd work with them, but I didn't want to be the guy that was like, help. Cause I'd already learned my lesson with that early on, when I told you, like, this is about me.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I sat back and observed and just became friends with everybody and supported them on their growth.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really important to understand that it's not always take. So I sat there and, just was a friend
Mm-hmm.
first.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's why the first writing camp, there were 20 people there lined up to help me, take a step forward.
Right.
Right. And then the next time it went so crazy that people were like, yo, this is nuts. Can I bring somebody?
Mm-hmm.
It was crazy, but that's where it all started.
How do you decide what part of your story to put in your music? Because like for me, one of the things I've been struggling with, having a new podcast is, what parts of my life to include into the podcast. Like typically I would never get on mic and tell people that, I used to come home to a sniff test.
Yeah.
So how do you, decide what parts of your life story,
I think everything is based on your gut. Your gut's going to tell you, when it's time to reveal some things about yourself. Like this morning, when I met you in the parking lot
Mm-hmm.
and we were sitting there talking, I asked about your necklace. Well, on the way in, my mom and I, we haven't talked really, but we didn't talk for 3 years straight. And then we didn't talk for, we'd have just little text messages for the past 4 years.
Oh.
And when my aunt, I told you about my aunt, she killed herself.
Mm-hmm.
And this morning I written this song called Juliet about that. And I think God speaks through you and tells you when it's time to let go, when it's okay to let go, when it's time to open up on certain things,
Yeah.
right? So it's all circumstantial, who you're with, who you're around, what you're doing, what you're going to do. I was coming down here to see you, and I don't know what told me to do this,
Mm-hmm.
but I had an overwhelming feeling. I said, I need to send my cousin, her mom,
Mm-hmm.
that killed herself,
Mm-hmm.
her daughter. I need to send my cousin and my mom this song
Mm-hmm.
and just tell them that I love them. And that, my aunt's weighing heavy on me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I shot them, listened to the song twice. It's called Juliet. I took it and I shot it over in a text message, said, I don't know why I'm being compelled to do this, but my gut's telling me this is the right time
Mm-hmm.
to reveal this to you guys. And that song's been sitting there finished for 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
But I did, and they were just liquid.
Funny that we're having this conversation right now because for me to hear you say you haven't spoken to your mom like that, maybe a little off and on over the last couple years.
And here it is. I'm seeing you.
Man, I'm trying to tell you,
It's not coincidence, bro.
I would give anything to talk to my mom again, just to hear her voice one time. And if there's anything I could say to you, life is short. I don't know what your situation is with your mom, but man, just, try and put that to the side because there's going to be a day where you're going to wish that you can call her and just ask her something,
I know.
And bro, it's just, I really wish, I would give anything at this point. I really would, just to be able to sit down and have a conversation with her, you know, or to, you know, give her a hug or hear her voice, you know. Even so, this is actually weird too. I dreamt about her last night. So for you to ask me that,
Bro, you're going to get me leaking in here, bro. I'm telling you.
yeah. So
You're going to have me crying, man.
So, you know, I really do hope you guys can button that up. You know what I mean? And
timing's everything.
mhm.
And it really is. You know the right time when it is to talk about, you know, whatever it is, whether it's funny or bring up an old story that you may be embarrassed about. It's all about, it's going to come out when it's supposed to come out. You're going to say it when you're supposed to say it,
Yep.
you know? So
My
this
biggest-
morning just hit me, bro.
Yeah.
It just hit me.
Man, I'm trying to tell you because, you know, tomorrow's not guaranteed. My mom went in the hospital to get a simple procedure done and died.
I know.
Never came back out, you know? Let me pivot a little bit. What's one story that you've lived that you haven't put in your music?
I mean, there's tons.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, tons. From great times to like, you know, real like sticky situations,
Mhm.
you know? I haven't talked about my uncle passing. I haven't talked about that. You know, that was a tough one because my uncle he helped me a lot through life. And so my uncle gave me my first job, which he had a, you know, I was like, oh, my uncle's got a company. And it was 2 men in a truck, or actually 2 men in a Toyota Tercel,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
like he did eaves and overhangs, built Carnish, you know, fascia, soffit, you know, freeze boards, exterior windows and doors.
Mhm.
And my uncle, I remember I kept working with him for a long time, and he had a couple guys, people would come and go, you
Mhm.
know, and he comes one day. I was out there working with him, and I think I was like 18, and I'm up on the top of the scaffold. I'm probably 25 feet up in the air,
Mhm.
right? And back then, it wasn't like there was no harness. Like there ain't no OSHA, boy. You
Right.
fall, you're done.
You're
You
done.
better. It's a wrap,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I'm walking around on an 8-inch wide board,
Yeah.
right, 25 feet in the air,
Yeah.
off the side of there's no oh shit handles up here,
No.
right?
No.
And I had a bad attitude, and my uncle was like, he goes, "Come down here." And I was like, "Yeah, throw me that board." He's like, "No, come down here."
Mhm.
So I climbed down and I was like, "What's up?" And he goes, "What's wrong with you?" And I said, I don't want to lie to him. I was like, "I don't want to be here."
Mm.
He's like, "I don't want you here either." And I go, "Well, I guess we've come to a fork in the road." He goes, "I don't want anybody to have to do what I do every day."
Wow.
He is like, "But," he was like, "here's what we're going to do." He was like, I told him, I said, "Well, you know, you don't have anybody else. I've got to be here. Cause if I'm not here, you've got one other guy and like, you can't do this." He goes, "I'm always going to be fine." He's like, "You don't have to worry about me."
Mhm.
He was like, "But I have to worry about you, young man." He goes, "So here's what we're going to do." He goes, "You're going to learn everything about this inside and out, backwards and forwards. When I call out this or that or measurement or whatever, you're going to know what it is. When I ask about this piece or that piece, you're going to know what it is. The name of that board, the name of this, you know, you're going to know how to measure this, to build that. You're going to be able to do the math on it. You're going to figure all this out. And I'm going to teach you everything. When you know it all," he is like, "then you leave."
Mm.
Because nobody, once you understand this and you know this, son, he is like, nobody will ever be able to take that away from you.
Mm.
And if times get tough, which they will, you'll have something you can fall back on because you know this.
Mhm.
Make me the promise that you will dig into this, right? And then you can go. He is like, "Know it." So what I I took that as a challenge. I love challenges, right? Tell me no, I'm going to show you I can. Tell me I can't, I'm going to prove you wrong. I said, all right. I was like, I can do that.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, all right, let's get to work. And he started immediately, instead of just being somebody that was doing work, laborer, he went into full-fledged teaching mode. And he taught me everything and quizzed me. And then he would let me run the plays. Okay, where are we starting on the house today?
Mm-hmm.
And why? And I laid it all out. And one day I pulled up to work and he looks at me and we had just had, like, it was on a Monday, and, we had just wrapped through. We're on like the tail end of this. And he's like, I'm like ready to go in there and tell him the play we're going to make.
Mm-hmm.
And I pull up and, this is months later. You kind of forget a little bit about that conversation. This is months later.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm enjoying it. Like, I'm coming with a good attitude. I'm ready. I'm go getting it. I'm after it. Right. And he goes, what are you doing here?
Mm.
And I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, let's get going. Quit playing. And he's like, no, he's like, seriously, what are you doing here? And I was like, what are you talking about, dude? Like, we got to get this done.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You're not getting a paycheck until this is done. Let's get this job done. Right.
Right.
I was like, come on, quit playing around. And he's like, you're fired.
Whoa.
And I said, for what? He's like, you are fired. Get the fuck out of here.
Mm.
And I was like, dude, you can't fire me. He's like, no, I can. And I did. He's like, I told you, once you've learned everything you need to know about this, that you got to go.
Mm.
So you know this all. So you got to go.
Mm-hmm.
So get in your car and get the fuck out of here. And I said, number one, you can't afford for me to go. And number two, I can't afford to go. How am I going to pay my bills? He goes, I don't care.
Wow.
He goes, we made an agreement. The agreement has been met. Get in your car and go figure out your life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want you here anymore.
Mm.
That's a story that I've never told in a song.
Wow.
That needs to go there.
Wow. So what do you think the silver lining was there in him doing that? Do you think you would be where you are today?
Not a chance. Not a chance.
Mm.
Not a chance. I don't think leading up to the first story I told you about the $5 a day, knowing that I could do that, I don't think I would have had the confidence to do that had it not been for that.
Right.
Right? I don't think it would have led to that. Like every road leads you somewhere.
It really does, man. Even when I think about like my career, I started interning at a radio station off the street. They told me straight up, look, we can't have you here anymore. You have to go back to school. Either you go back to school, get your degree, come back, we'll give you a job, or you can't be here. And it was like a domino effect. I only did that just so I could get back in the radio station. I only went back to school just so I can get back in the radio station. That was the only reason, I'll be honest with you. So I did that, got fired from that radio station. Not fired, but I was laid off because they sold the station. And I was like, fuck, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me, But in hindsight, looking back, it was the best thing that ever happened to me, because had that not had happened, I wouldn't have ended up in New York, I wouldn't have left New York and I wouldn't be here now if I didn't have those, what I saw as, stumbling blocks, right? It's all a part of the journey. You know what I mean?
100%.
I'm wondering if that's situation with your uncle ties into your business mind now, because you had to, you said, okay, I had to learn every aspect of this, every aspect of that, right? You have roofing companies, you have, sunglass brand. I think I read that you do is it rafting tours or something?
Yeah, I've got a river tubing company in East Tennessee called Wild Bear Tubing. It's cool.
Yeah. Where did that business mind come from?
A lot of it came from that. A lot of it came from the city, right? I went, when I thought I was doing well for myself, like when I finally like started shaping everything up, and then I took that big dump, right?
Right.
Where I was like almost lost it all. I started the roofing company when I had $1,200 left in my name.
Wow.
Right. And I went down and met with a friend of mine, right, that didn't like, he came from nothing too. And his name's Rob Isabel. And Rob went down to Tampa, Florida. Not many people came and visited him. Like nobody like really, he didn't have a big core friend group that followed him. Right. And everybody thought that he would just end up being a wash up. Right. He was a high school jock and just didn't think he would amount to anything. And I went down, I called him. All of a sudden he's blossoming. He's killing life. He's just murdering it. Mm-hmm. So I called him and I said, hey, can I come down and pick your brain? Mm-hmm. And this is part of the reason I'm an open book to a lot of people, right? It's because it was given to me, these couple little things that I learned, and I learned to apply them because nothing else had been given to me at this point. It was all self-taught, So I go down there and he gave me his time, which is the most valuable thing you can give anybody. Mm-hmm. And we looked at roofing companies, moving companies, mini donuts, hair salons, all this stuff. And what he taught me, he got with this guy that was on his way to being a billionaire. Mm-hmm. And what he taught him was, he said, find somebody that is, you don't invest in an industry, you invest in a person. Right? Mm-hmm. He is like, so find somebody that is being overlooked in their job, that is super talented, that's being treated unfairly, that is not given a chance or a platform to shine from, and take them, study them, and then go into business with them. They'll be the operating partner. You be the back end, the money. You're taking care of the books. You're watching the growth, right? And you're looking to grow and scale. Like you work on that aspect of it. You let them do the day-to-day, which is what they're already doing somewhere else, mm-hmm. and not getting rewarded or compensated correctly for it. Mm. And that was one thing. The second thing is never let them invest $1 from the get-go, right? Mm-hmm. It's got to be sweat equity. Everything that you put in for years and years and years, right, got you to the point where you could take that on. But I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I only got $1,200. I could literally have $1,200 to my name. Mm-hmm. And I loaned my truck to a friend of mine, and he destroyed it. He put gas in a diesel truck like an idiot, mm-hmm. and truck's wiped out. I'm driving around in a 2004 Honda Accord, right? The headliner's sagging over my head. The two front headlights are so fogged up, they're just kind of glowing, right? Shonda the Honda. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm taking Shonda the Honda, and I'm like, all right, so I took those basic principles. I went and found two guys that were in roofing companies that were really good. Mm-hmm. I said, let me get behind you. Let's do this. And they finally did it. We started in a 10 by 10 room that we rented from a buddy that was an electrical contractor, right? And we took that I took 5 of my friends that were ex-drug dealers, bartenders, but these boys had mouthpieces like you wouldn't believe. Mm-hmm. And we went into that room and we developed a company that I did a 9-figure exit with 6.5 years later. Mm-hmm. We're in 9 states, 23 locations, over 426 sales staff. Wow. Right. And I made 13 millionaires in one day.
Whew. Talk about that. 13 millionaires in one day. Mm-hmm. Damn, bro.
They were my boys.
Yo, let's do it.
My dogs.
Let's do it. Let's make some millionaires today. You know what I mean?
Trust me, you have no idea what's circling the drain. There's a lot of things coming forward. So, it's great to give back. And the mantra of the company is you'll never know true success until you make somebody else successful. Mm. And a lot of people are like, oh, it's the pyramid because you do this and it trickles back down. No. Mm-hmm. Money is a byproduct of success. I don't worry about money. I worry about the win, right? So give me a couple professional athletes.
You got LeBron James, Steph Curry, KD.
Okay, let's take LeBron. Mm-hmm. Do you think LeBron pulls up to the 3-point line is like 10 grand? boom, 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 dunk, 15,000.
Right.
No, bro. He's focused on the win. He's focused on his team. He's focused on developing as a leader and as a player, right? The only way that he wins, he can't win by himself. He knows that. He can't play every position at one time, even though he's pretty close to being able to play every fucking position at one time, right? But that's not what it's about. It's about giving back and creating that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what kind of person you have to develop yourself into to be able to do that,
Mm-hmm.
right? To be able to replicate that, the success you've personally had, and transform other people's lives and make them successful. That right there, what you have to become to be able to do that, that's what truly makes you successful.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so me, that was the mantra of the company.
Mm-hmm.
You'll never know true success until you make somebody else successful. And I built that company so that I could afford to play music
Right.
the whole time.
Right. Is that your number one money principle?
That was, yes.
That was. What's your number one money principle now, and why?
Well, there's a lot that are kind of running up. I've got a bunch of companies that are developing, right? I got a genetic testing company that's really cool. I've got a weather monitoring device. I've got obviously the music, right? People try to say it's not a business, but you know, it's art and business. It's a very weird business because you're emotionally attached to it, like more so than you would ever be with anything else. Right. And I'm an emotional person, bro. Like I put myself into everything because I know if I fail, it's going to hurt somebody else. Right. When I ask you to get behind me in this, that means I'm going to make sure you're okay at all costs. Right.
Right.
So there's a lot of them that are growing. I got to keep commercial roofing, only sold residential. So that thing's growing like a ragweed. It's popping. All my property endeavors, like, Rampage and I are developing a 78 acres down in Memphis, like 230 something units we're going to be putting in down there. So
Big shout outs to
development,
Rampage.
dude, he is Rampage. That's my dog. I love you, bro. If you're listening to this, you've had a huge impact on my life. It's one of my best friends on earth.
Wow, that's dope.
On earth, bro. He was just texting me yesterday. Like, that's what an amazing human being.
Dope.
And an amazing story.
How do you balance the music and, business? Your all your businesses that you have going and your music. How do you?
You don't do anything alone. All these people that try to like do things by themselves, they say, the quote is like, the only sinking ship is a partnership. That's bullshit. You're going to make mistakes and not select the people that you work well with, right? It's going to happen, right? You're going to have your failures and your successes. I've found that I win more when I team up than when I try to take on anything alone. So with my music, I don't write all this by myself. It's not a secret, right? The reason it turns out the way it does is because I go in with my boys and we work together, right? We're together, right? Because when we were in the streets, when we were kids, right? And we had nothing, we had each other, right? And that moves forward into business, right? So everything that I do with partners. Well, 99.9% of it. So,
I was talking to Philippe Dumont, right? I don't know if you know who he is.
Yeah.
He used to be the chairman. For those who don't know, he used to be the CEO of Viacom a couple years back, and we were talking.
Brilliant business mind.
Yeah. And, we were in the elevator or something. I had been floating around the Viacom building for a while. I don't know if you know this, but I'm also a voice actor as well. So I was one of the voices of, at that time, I was one of the voices of BET, and I was also one of the voices of VH1 and MTV2.
Oh, sick.
So I was like the promo guy. Coming up tonight on,
Yeah.
da-da-da-da, whatever, right? So, and I was working there in the building, editing and stuff. So I would, and I was DJing. So, I DJ these different events that they'd have around the building. And, from DJing those events, I developed a little relationship with Philippe Dumont, right? So one day we were talking and I was like, Philippe, like, what's the secret, man? And I asked him straight out. I was like, you make $30 million in salary a year. Your bonus is $70 million or $60 million. Like, and this is year after year. Like, how do you do it? And he was like, Keon, you want to know how I do it? He was like, it's the people around me. It's the people that I hired to work for me. That's it. He was like, it's not me. He was like, I have the right team in place. And that's how I do it. And once you can
He's
master
100% right.
Once you can master the art of having the right team and the right people around you, he said, everybody around me, they're smarter than me. He was like, I'm just here. But I was smart enough to know, put this person in this position.
You can move the pieces on the chessboard.
And the chessboard. And he said, that's how you do it. That's the secret.
But the true secret to that is putting them in a position to constantly win and putting in a position where they have a choice on where their life goes financially.
Yep.
Right? So if there's always more for them to gain, always giving them opportunity is probably the best way to put it. The moment you cease to be able to give them opportunity, you failed them, so you shouldn't be upset if they have to walk out of your life. So that's the true, right? And every position's got a ceiling. So you've got to give them the opportunity to move to a position that's higher than the one they were in previously, but it's also their choice whether they do what it takes to earn that. With me, there's nothing given, everything earned. My brothers came on way later in my partnerships in the roofing stuff. They had to earn it. Everyone's like, oh, they're just family gave it. Nope. Like, I'm harder on them.
Yeah.
Everything in life is earned. Like, I wasn't giving shit.
Had to work for it.
Had to work for it. And when I stopped blaming everybody else for why I didn't have it, that's when things started to change. But everything's a choice. You got choices every day. So the minute you stop giving them choices, right, then don't expect them not to make a choice.
I know people call your persona raw and unfiltered. Has that grit ever gotten, misunderstood?
Oh, for sure. For sure. I mean, I went to jail twice during COVID over being misunderstood.
Really?
Twice.
Wow.
2 times. So I understand business. And now that we're talking, I think that you can kind of get a grasp on that, right? And so I built 3 houses, and the center house that I built, right? They're all in the same lot. First one was first personal house I built myself. Second one, we were turning into like an Airbnb and a content creation house before content creation houses even started. Now they're prevalent everywhere. Creators Inc.'s got them, a bunch of these, streaming platforms, stuff like that have them, right? Well, I built this house, and during COVID, I brought all these graffiti artists in from everywhere. And we started tagging all the inside of the house, and every room was dedicated to a different luxury brand, right? Clothing brand like Louis Vuitton, Gucci. So you had the Gucci room, but it was all built to where people could go in, take pictures and right? Because pictures were still thumping back then. It wasn't on the real side of things yet. So I was videoing the whole time. Yeah, putting on stories. Yeah, we're doing this, fashion house, blah, 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 blah. Well, it came time for COVID. Everybody starts freaking out. And I'd already planned to unveil this house. It's an unveiling. It's not a party, right? It's unveiling, right? It's like an open house, so to speak. But I'd been to create a demand. So I did a model shootout on one day. The next day was going to be open to the general public, right? So I had can't remember, it was like 30 something models and had like 16 or 17 photographers. And some of the models range from like, you know, a couple hundred followers to a couple million. And I made the older, more established models, not older in age, but just the more established models work with the younger ones, right? It was a networking event. Same thing with the photographers. If I saw your photos and I thought you were dope, but you didn't have a big following, right? I would bring the bigger photographers in and I made them all collab. Well, first day was a modeling event, shootout. Next day, the next day was the unveiling event, which I had Jelly Roll Security at the time came out and did security. I chain linked off the property, 9 armed security guards on the property. And we were doing an unveiling event. I had Jake and Logan Paul's waiver when you went to their house like a long time ago. You'd have to take a picture. It was filming liability and a COVID waiver, right? You take a picture of your ID. I had 3 Kindles at the front gate, right? You had to check in. It was super strict. Well, they did like a shutdown or a lockdown, right? And it was starting the very next day on the unveiling day. And my buddy's like, everybody was made aware, like, you know, about a week prior. And my buddy that I went into business with was like, hey, what do we do? Like, and I was like, no, we keep going.
Yeah.
He was like, well, you know, can't we get in trouble? And I was like, no, it's based on the Stay-at-Home Act, right? And the Stay-at-Home Act basically says that you can have, the homeless can gather, right? There's no restriction on that. And you can, you have the right to, show property, right? So I was like, okay. So I kept the event rolling. There are over 2,000 people showed up at my house, bro.
Whoa.
There was literally people all the way down the street.
Yeah.
Like, it was absolutely insanity, right?
Yeah.
But everything ran fine. No DUIs, no domestic violence stuff, no, like, you know, no fights broke out, nothing.
Right.
Smooth.
Right.
And the cops came 3 times that night. Every time they came up, they were super nice. I talked to them, you know, they're like, hey, you know, what about the cars? And I'm like, yo, you know, we can, you know, they're blocking driveways. They knew. I said, they're blocking driveways. I told everybody to, you know, Uber over.
Right.
And they were like, well, look, you know, we saw that on your Instagram where you said Uber. And I was like, y'all are watching my Instagram? They're like, yeah, we've been knowing about this. Like, it's, you know, okay. I'm like, all right. They were like, cool. Came back the next time. They're like, hey, look, before the neighbors say anything, it's getting a little bit later. It's around 10. You know, do you mind just turning it down just a little bit? Because I had DJs in the driveway and the inside the houses. Yeah. Like, you know, it were showcasing this thing.
Yep.
All right. And so did that. Gave all the alcohol away. $20,000 worth of alcohol just gave away.
Yep.
Right? Think about that wholesale alcohol. That's a lot.
That's a lot of alcohol,
bro.
Could have made a lot of money.
Yeah.
Could have made a lot of money, bro.
Every bit of it away.
Yep.
Right? So do that. Next thing you know, they come the third time. They're like, hey, I turned it down. Next time they come, they're like, hey, look, this is like 12 something. They're like, hey, what time do you plan on shutting this down? We're cool. Everybody's fine. And we're really surprised at how well this is running.
Right.
They're like, you know, I said, well, we're running out of alcohol. I was going to stop at 2, but really it's whatever time you guys want. Let's just figure it out right now and shake on it. And this is on the dude's body cam, bro.
Yeah.
So they're like, all right. So I said, well, let's do it. You know, how about 1? They go, how about 12:45? Say, cool. Shook on it. And they were like, hey, look, just cut all the music off. The people will eventually trickle out. They were like, we've been through this. Right. And I was like, cool. Shook on it. 12:45 rolls around. Music's off. People start flowing out. The next thing you know, the next morning, I wake up. News cameras everywhere. You'd think that I'd shot the president or something, bro.
Wow.
They're everywhere.
Wow.
Right? Just all over me. They tried to put me in jail. They did 3 times. 1, not wearing a mask. 1, having to gather in over 25, right? And 1 for what was it? Gathering 25, not wearing a 6-foot rule.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me,
Bro, I'm not playing with you.
Why?
And when they figured out there was nothing they could do, they had the health department over there. I gave everything away for free. I didn't violate anything, right? Like everything they tried coming at me with, my attorney slid. I said, we were sitting there going over. He goes, I was like, let me see the governor's orders. He slid them across the table. I read them and I spun them back around. I slid them back to him. I was like, what do you see that's wrong with that? And he goes, I was like, no, better question. What do you think they're going to try to hammer me with?
Mm-hmm.
And they go, well, you had over 2,000 people at your house. We're gathering over 25. And I said, okay, well, tell me right there in his orders where it says anything about that.
Mm-hmm.
Where does it say anything about that or the 6-foot rule? I was like, could have criminal implications.
Right.
I was like, so the only thing is the mask, right? And I'm on my personal property. And how come I was singled out, but the other 2,000 people were fine? What about all these waivers? I whooped Nashville so bad in that courtroom. They couldn't get me the first time, so they indicted me and brought me back in. And then they offered me a plea deal if I went down and handed out masks on the street in Nashville for 20 hours, they would let me off. And I told them to go fuck themselves. So standing up for the things that I believe in, right? When I know I'm not wrong. And then I watched the media spin it around like I was trying to kill people. I had people, dude, we have 8 3-ring binders, 4-inch, full of death threats, bro.
Wow.
Death threats.
And this is all during COVID.
All during COVID. But you know what? One of them bad enough to show up on my driveway.
Wow.
Crazy. I've been put through it, bro.
Wow.
Put through it.
You're just trying to create a little herd immunity. That's
Bro, what are you talking? That's what I'm saying. They spun it out like I was trying to like go against the government and defy things like that.
Right.
Bro, I'm not that cool. I'm not that cool, bro.
Right. Yo, bro, man, the car collection. Shi's garage.
Yep. Trophies.
Wow. Bro, it's pretty. I was looking today or yesterday, man. You got a sick collection. Where did Love a Car start?
My dad. He had a bunch of cars when we were kids, and they just ended up, they were clunkers, and they ended up being valuable later on in life.
Mm-hmm.
And he had to get rid of a bunch of them through the divorce of my mother and like fighting back and forth over custody for years. And eventually he just had nothing, left of it, but that's where the love came from. So every time I set myself a goal and every time I reach that goal, that's what I'm rewarding myself with. So it's not like, oh, I just went out and I love this car's cool. No, like every one of them has a story because I worked my ass off to get that.
Yep.
Every single one of them's got a story. There's not one that you'll see that doesn't have a story behind it. I remember exactly what it took to get that.
If you could only keep one car forever.
Black 06 Ford GT.
Why?
Because that car is not only the story of like the goal that I set to get it, right? It's also the story behind the car itself. Everybody's seen Ford versus Ferrari, where, Henry Ford was basically told by Ferrari, he got shunned by Ferrari. He was supposed to sell him. Ferrari was going under, and he was supposed to sell it to Ford, and then basically called them a bunch of rednecks and wouldn't sell it to him. So he went and developed that car. And then that car, they won Le Mans with for 4 years consecutive. The first year they beat Ferrari at Le Mans, they finished first, second, and third in that car. And to me, that represents the underdog being told, there's no way you can do this. You can't beat Enzo Ferrari. It's Ferrari. You can't beat that.
Right.
Tell me again, I can't. I'm about to show you.
I got you.
And it's the storybook of that. It's like, it goes out there to everybody that I've ever been around in my entire life. I tell them, they're like, man, I'm trying to get where you're at. I was like, no, beat me. Be better than me. You can beat me. Be bigger than me. Right. So that car right there that's the one.
That's the one.
That's the one.
So we do something here on the show called Keys to the Street.
Keys to the Street.
Keys to the Street is my version of dropping gems. So I want you to give a couple keys. I want you to give a life key, a hustle key, a music key, a Tennessee key, and a Shi Country key.
Okay.
What you got?
All right. Shout out the key and then I'll give the response. Which one's
All
the
right,
first one?
so a life key.
A life key. If you learn how to manage your time properly and you learn the importance of the word no, you'll free up more of your time. And as long as you're giving that time back and you're using that time for the appropriate things, your life will consistently be better. And you'll know it. People will be like, how did you do that? People will wonder. And that's how you'll know whether you're managing your time correctly or not.
24 hours in a day, 24-inch gauge, right?
That's it.
A hustle key.
Never hustle alone. Never hustle alone. You always got to have somebody. Don't try to take on the world by yourself. Create opportunity for everybody around you, and they will create opportunity for you.
Dope. A music key.
You'll know, it goes back to what I was telling you earlier, you're going to know when the time to release is right. Go with your gut, not what anybody else tells you. When you start to follow and start to chase trends or try to follow this, that, or the other, or the rule book or the playbook, and this is something I'm daily struggling with, to be completely transparent and vulnerable, right? Is there is no playbook to this shit. There is no right or wrong. There is no, if you do this, this will happen, right? Stop chasing, start being.
A Tennessee key.
Tennessee key. If you don't live in Tennessee, you need to move there. Yeah.
And last but not least, a Shi Country key.
Shi Country key. Shi Country key. God, it kind of blends in with the music key a little bit. Shi Country key is country. The biggest thing with country that I think a lot of people tie country in with flannel shirts and boots and a style.
Yeah.
Right? But the real truth about country is built on authentic storytelling, right? Country is authentic storytelling. It doesn't matter what the fuck you're wearing. It doesn't matter if you're driving a truck or a Ferrari. It doesn't matter if you're rich or you're poor. It doesn't see color. The true meaning and depth behind country is true storytelling. So as long as you're telling stories, your shit's country. I'm sorry if you like it or if you don't.
Yo, well, man, listen, I really appreciate you coming through Conversations the Key to Key It Up with me today.
Love you, bro.
Love you too, man. This has been amazing. Where can people check out your music, your Instagram, your socials, your
Shi
TikToks?
Eubank. ShiEubank. Everything Shi Eubank.
And where can they stream? Spotify, Apple?
Apple Music, Pandora, anywhere that you can stream music, YouTube, anywhere that you can hear it, it's there. I have the best team on earth behind me.
Projects upcoming that we should be looking out for?
So we're going to drop a few more songs this year from the 2024 batch of songs. And then in the new year, we're going to roll out a few more. We're going to start this. The new year, we're going to drop a song called Roots and a song called Hard Life. And those two songs really, really exemplify who I am as an artist, or who I am as a person, sorry. So those songs will come out, and then the new songs that I wrote at the writing camp with my best friends. I love all you guys. Shout out to all the writers of the world. Without you guys, the artist would be nobody. Love you guys. Thank you. We need you, right? So those songs will start to roll out. So let's get active.
Can't wait to hear it. My personal favorites, I love, Barback, Supernova. Supernova whiskey,
yeah,
right?
Whiskey Supernova.
Whiskey
yeah.
Supernova.
Check out Use Me when you get in the car.
Yeah.
Listen to Use Me.
Use
That's
Me.
for the ladies out there.
And then what's the other joint? Oh, the Georgia Peach joint.
Yes.
The visuals
In Georgia, boy. Let's go.
My boy was like, man, I didn't know Georgia was giving it up like that.
Oh yeah. Georgia's on it.
Yeah, big shout outs to that record, man. I think those records, you know, they're big records, bro.
Love you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. it's
Love
meant
you.
to be.
Thank you for having me.
Love you too, bro. Thanks for coming through.
Kinda looking like you need an up. Looking down, staring at your phone. Girl, I wouldn't want to be the sucker who left you sitting all alone. If you wanna talk, I'll listen. We can shut it down till the lights come on. If you think you did them wrong, you didn't. But I can stick around till the pain wears off, baby. If you need a drug, you can use me. Let me get your mind off the boys back home, baby. Once you've had enough, you can lose me. But looking at your drink, you could use one more. We don't have to be us, just you and me, doing whatever you want till the lonely is gone. I don't need to be the one, don't need to be in love to use me. Whiskey looking like you need another. The song sounding like you need a dance. If you're looking for a better lover, all you gotta do is ask, baby. If you need a drug, you can use me. Let me get your mind off the boys back home, baby. Once you've had enough, you can lose me. But looking at your drink, you could use one more. We don't have to be us, just you and me, doing whatever you want till the lonely is gone. I don't need to be the one, don't need to be in love to use me. If you wanna talk, I'll listen. We can shut it down till the lights come on. If you think you did them wrong, you didn't. But I can stick around till the pain wears off, baby. If you need a drug, you can use me. Let me get your mind off the boys back